Okay, so today I am testing out this um, Google Air thing. It's the first time I've ever used it. I want to see how it goes. And today I want to create another fourth edition character with you guys. The fourth edition character we are going to create is going to be a cleric. I plan to do them all in every handbook. So we're going to start with cleric. We did fighter in my first video, so now we're going to do cleric. Now, I'm going to go through a nostalgia feeling here. My very first character was a cleric. I didn't really like him because I built him not really that good. However, I've learned and I'm ready to make him again. He got his own brewery or something like that, and long time short, he died of old age. So we're going to recreate his child. So basically, his name was Rupert the Holy. He was a man of God. He followed the deity Muradin, however you want to pronounce it, Moradin. I say Muradin. And he had a loving wife named Alzana. They had a child and gave birth to the young dwarf known as Xanath. We're going to give him a name just like his father. We're going to name him Xanath the Young because he's a fairly young dwarf. In fact, we'll get to his age in a second. So first, let's start with dwarf. Oh, I wrote cleric twice. Dwarf. Did I spell dwarf wrong? I did, didn't I? No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. All right, so dwarfs are on page 36. All right, the dwarf. Their average height is 4'3" to 4'9". So we are going to make this guy 4'4". He's a fairly tall lad. The average weight is 160 to 220 pounds. We're going to go with the minimum 160. He is going to be a male. His base movement squares is 5. He gets a +2 to, oh, that's not constitution, to constitution and wisdom. Let's see here. What else is there? He's a medium size medium. And how long does it say dwarves usually live for? They live well past 150 years of age. They mature around the same age as humans, but they age slowly, as in like elderly. So, since they age around the same as humans, we're going to make this guy a teenager. We're going to make him 17 years old, Xanath the Young. Just like how I explained in my first video, I like putting extra details in my feats section, such as my vision being low light. I like to put in anything else that I really gain, like race features. I get a +2 to con and wisdom. What else here? Languages. I know common and dwarven. Skill bonuses. I get a +2 to dungeoneering and a +2. Hide that. To endurance. Just 1 second. Need to make sure you can actually hear me. Yeah? Okay. So, what we do is we go here, find dungeoneering, and we put a 2 there. We find endurance, and we put a 2 there. And now we're getting to the other things. So we got cast iron stomach, +5 to saving throws against saving throws versus poison. We got Dwarven Resilience. Can use second wind as a minor action, which is really good. Basically, second wind is like if you're near death and you need to spend a healing surge and stuff, you have 1 second wind per encounter. You could use that second wind as a standard action. However, if you're a dwarf, it can be a minor action. So you can use it and then attack. Dwarven weapon proficiency. I'm not going to waste the time copying it there. Instead, I'm going to add it down here. Proficiency, and we gain proficiency with throwing hammers and war hammers. Okay, next is encumbered speed. Move normally when your speed would be reduced by weight. Because what happened there? Basically, this allows you to, like, the best example is my very first campaign I did with this Rupert Cleric. And we came across this treasury hall. And the first thing I asked, being a dwarf who loves treasure, how much gold can I carry? My DM then told me, you can carry as much gold as your weight allows you. I rolled my... I checked my stats with my strength times 10 and then added the encumbered speed to it. And I was able to cover or carry around 35,000 gold pieces. I couldn't do anything else, but hey, I became rich in a matter of seconds. Next is stand your ground. How can we summarize this in 2 lines? Effects that force you to move 1 square less. Effects forcing you to move 1 square less. And also we can make a saving throw if prone. Saving throw if prone. Bam. So there's all of our racial features. Everything we need to be a dwarf. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly use this app on my phone and roll stats for his ability modifiers, because that's the next part we're going to get into. So in order to do that, we have to go to page 3 of the player's handbook, find Cleric, which is page 60, and go there. We can now start putting in basic things. So a cleric is a leader. You lead by shielding your allies with your prayers, healings, and use powers to improve your allies' attack. Power source. You use the divine power. You've been invested with the authority to wield divine power on behalf of deity of faith or philosophy. Next, we have the key abilities of wisdom, strength, and charisma, which is, now that we know that, we know what to focus our points into. I've just started rolling them right now. I got one so far. I just rolled a 14. And the next one is going to be a 5, 2, and 3 for a 10. If you're wondering which method I'm using, I believe in the handbook, it is method 2, might be method 3, where you roll 4d6s, take the 3 highest, add them together, there's one score. There's my third one for 14. Next is 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. So these stats aren't going to be the highest, but oh well. 5, 10, 13. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. Nice, and a solid 15. All right. Now that we have our ability scores, let's put them in. So, wisdom, strength, and charisma. Well, lucky us, we did gain that +2 in wisdom and constitution from being a dwarf. So I think we're going to give the 15 to wisdom, raising it to a 17. Next, we're going to give our 10 to dexterity. We'll give one of our 14s to strength. One of our other 14s to charisma, leaving us with a 13 and 11. We're going to put the 11 in constitution, bringing it to 13, and then 13 in intellect. Now that we have that, let's go to page 17, 18 of the player's handbook and look at ability modifiers. This guy is level 1. So for right now, we're going to stick with just making the level 1 changes. For having a 14 modifier, we get 2. 13 modifier, we get 1. 10, we get 0. 13, we get 1. 17, we get 3. And 14, we get 2. We don't have a half level, so these changes stay the same. We can now go ahead and start putting some of the stuff in. So we have a higher strength mod than the constitution mod. So there's a 2 there. We get a 1 in reflex and a 3 in will. We're not done yet though. There might be other things. So let's go back to the cleric page, which is what page again? 60. All right. Next, we get some proficiencies. No, darn it. Cancel that. We're going to add some proficiencies here. So we also have armor proficiencies of cloth, leather, hide, and chainmail, along with other in general weapon proficiencies of simple melee and simple ranged. Our implements, which I'll explain later on, is holy symbol. We get a bonus to defense +2 will for being a cleric. So in class, 2 to will. Then there's our hit points. Hit points, we gain 5 per level. 12 plus our constitution score, which is 13, for a hit point total of 25. This is where we now bring out our calculator. We divide 25 in half and get 12.5 rounded down to our bloody value of 12. Go back to our 25 and divide it by 4, and we get our surge value is 6. Not that good for a healer. However, clerics aren't really, they're not healers per se. From back when I was Rupert, I did more buffs than I did healing. We like to empower our allies with our prayers. We do have the capability to heal. However, it doesn't have to be super high. Like my paladin level 5 heals for 13. So comparing to this level 1, it's not that big of a difference. Surges per day is 7 plus constitution modifier. Our con mod is 1, so we can use 8 surges a day. Next, we are trained in religion. So go down to religion here and we can put a 5. And then from the class listed below, we choose 3 more trained skills at first level. So we are definitely going to be choosing heal as 1. We're also going to choose arcane. No. We're going to choose insight as our second one, and history. Because I want Zenith here to be young but smart. He notices things before other people do, and he has a tendency, or he loves to just draw in to history. So now that we got those, we'll finish putting in the rest of our skills. Fill all these with zeros. And let's start. All right, so our dexterity modifier is 0. Our intellect modifier is 1. Oh, that's an arrow key. Our strength modifier is 2. Charisma modifier is 2. Wisdom modifier is 3. Constitution modifier is 1. Intellect 1. Wisdom 3. Charisma 2. Wisdom 3. Intellect 1. Dexterity 0. Charisma 2. And dexterity 0. Add those up, we got a 0 in acrobatics, a 1 in arcana, a 2 in athletics, a 2 in bluff, a 2 in diplomacy. We got a 5 thanks to being a dwarf in dungeoneering. We got a 3 in endurance for being a dwarf. We got a 8 in heal. We got a 6 in history. 5, 6, 7. We got another 8 in insight. We got a 2 in intimidate, a 3 in nature and perception, a 6 in religion, a 0 in stealth, a 2 in streetwise, and a 0 in thievery. Overall, not too bad, actually. We can go and put in our perception insight right now. We have an insight of 8 and a perception of 3, giving us a passive insight of 18 and a passive perception of 13. Next, since we know that nothing else here gives us any types of buffs, we're going to finish our fortitude, reflex, and will. Our will is a strong 15. Our reflex right now at least is an 11, and our fortitude is a 12. Pretty low, but once again, we're level 1 and we haven't finished yet. Our initiative is 0 since we don't have a dex modifier or any other bonuses. And right now, our base speed is 5. However, we have not done our armor yet, so we'll wait. Other class features we get are a ritual casting, which I have never used and never will use. I don't like ritual casting. Basically, what it is you have a bunch of scrolls or a book of spells that you've acquired over the year that you can do to cast rituals. You don't need it as a cleric. It's something that a warlock would use more, or someone who is more in tune with the arcana. But I want to kind of stay away from that because I don't like it. Next, we have Channel Divinity. Channel Divinity. Let's scroll down and see what Channel Divinity does. Once per encounter, you can invoke divine power, filling yourself with the might of your Patreon deity. With the divine might you invoke, you can wield special powers such as Turn Undead and Divine Fortune. Some clerics learn other uses for these features. For instance, divinity feats in Chapter 6 grant characters with access to channel divinity classes feature the ability to use additional special prayers, which we're not going to really use because I already have an idea of what I want to use. Regardless of how many different uses of channel divinity you know, you can only use one such ability per encounter. The special ability of power can invoke works just like your other powers. So if we scroll down here even more, here is the channel that we can use. They're encounter powers, and we are going... That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. Well, let's look at them both. We got Divine Fortune, which is a personal free action where you gain a +1 bonus to your next attack rolls or saving throws. Or there's the Turn Undead, which has to be against undead creatures, which is very specific and isn't that good. However, if you know you're fighting undead, this could be a good move to use because you deal massive damage to undead and immobilize them. However, we're going to go with the Divine Fortune for now. Now let's scroll back up to see what our next feature is, which is Healer's Lore. Your study of healing allows you to make the most of your healing prayers. When you grant healing with one of your cleric powers that has a healing keyword, add your wisdom mod to the hit points through set gains. So what we do is right here, add wiz mod when you heal a target with the healing keyword. Next is Healing Word. Healing Word. Using the Healing Word power, clerics can grant their comrades additional resilience with nothing more than a short prayer. And Healing Word is down here, right there. So we don't even need to worry about it. And there we go. So you or one ally, that target can spend a healing search and regain an additional 1d6 hit points. In this case, it would be a 1d6 plus 3 hit points. So if you're wondering where you put those, if you go down here to encounter powers, we get these 2 encounters for free. So we're going to put Channel Divinity, Divine Fortune, along with Healing Word. That's all the encounters, which means now we can move on to the next step. I'm actually going to do the powers next. since they're right here. So at level 1, you get 2 at-will powers and 1 encounter power, 1 daily power. So we're going for more of a healer type. There's Battle Clerk and Devoted Clerk. Battle Clerks like to deal more damage with more buffs and stuff, which is what Rupert was. And the Devoted Clerk sticks to more to healing than doing damage. So let's look at the at-wills. At level 1, we can use. We have Lance of Faith here. It does damage, and one ally you see gains a +2 ratio bonus, or power bonus, sorry, to his next attack roll against the same target. Next, we have Priest Shields. You and one adjacent ally gain a +1 power bonus to AC. Righteous Brand. One ally within 5 squares of you gains a power bonus to melee attack rolls against a target equal to your strength mod. Sacred Flame. One ally you can see chooses either to gain temporary hit points equal to your charisma modifier plus half your level, or to make a saving throw. So out of those, we know for sure that Sacred Flame is a must. Being able to give your ally temporary hit points or heal them in general is very good. As a wisdom versus reflex, our wisdom is very high. Most reflexes are quite low. So this is good for us. Next, I feel that Lance of Faith, giving that +2 to next attack rolls, could be quite useful. We're not meant to do damage, so I don't see it possible for us to kill a guy in one hit and waste the power. Lance of Faith. Next is the encounters. So we can have Cause of Fear. The target moves its speed plus your charisma modifier away from you. The flaying target avoids unsafe squares and difficult terrain if it can. The movement provokes opportunity attacks. That could be pretty good. Allies in Blast gain a +2 bonus to attack rolls. That's also really good. Healing Strike. The target is marked until the end of your next turn. In addition, you and one out of 5 squares can spend a healing surge. So that's really good because that allows you to mark a target. So if he were to turn away from you, you get an opportunity attack. And it also allows you to heal an ally. But there's also Wrathful Thunder, daze your target. We are going to go with Healing Strike. Healing Strike. And finally, our daily powers, since we're only level 1. Let's see here. We have Avenging Flame. If the target attacks on his turn, it can attempt a saving throw against ongoing damage, and otherwise it deals a lot of fire damage. Beacon of Hope. Target is weakened. You and all your allies in the burst regain 5 hit points, and your healing powers restore 5 hit points until the end of the encounter. That is really good because that means if I use this and then followed it with a heal, it would do an extra 5 hit points of healing. Cascade of Light. Half damage, target gains no vulnerability if you miss. Other than that, the target gains vulnerability 5. Guardian of Faith. You conjure a guardian that occupies 1 square within range. Every round, you can move the guardian 3 squares as a move action. The guardian lasts until the end of the encounter. Any creature that ends its turn to the conjured guardian is subject to a Wisdom versus Fortitude attack. On hit, the attack deals 1d8 Wisdom modifier radiant damage. We are going to go with Beacon of Hope. And like always, if you want to know what your moves actually do, get a separate piece of paper, write it down, because there's not really enough room on the actual character sheet. Now, let's look over what we haven't done so far. We have done everything but our armor and weapons. So, let's go over to the index and and feats. Let's do our feats now. 190. We get 1 feat. And I am going to where is it? I want this one. Alertness. You don't grant enemies combat advantage during surprise rounds, and you get a +2 feat bonus to perception checks. And perception is quite low, so this will be good. So go down here, feat, alertness. You do not grant enemies combat advantage during surprise rounds. You also gain a +2 feat bonus to perception checks, which we can put right in here. So we get a 2 there, raising this to 5, raising this to 5, raising this to 15. All right, we've done that. Next, let's go into armors and shields, 212. So more specifically around 215, I want to say. A little bit too far. All right. So we don't have a dexterity modifier, so we do not gain a dexterity bonus. So we want to make him as tanky as possible, and the highest he can wear is chainmail, which gives a +6 bonus to AC. The only problem with chainmail is we get a -1 to our checks and a -1 to our speed, which isn't that good, honestly. Like 6 armor, yes, but you could also get scale armor and get +7. Now, something to point out is you can wear any type of armor, but if you're not proficient with it, you don't get that bonus from your dexterity. Now, I could say, well, I don't have a dexterity mod anyways, so I can go scale armor. But, however, I want to I do want my speed because like I'm already at a 5 in speed. So I don't want to get any slower. And getting a check minus means if I were to roll a 19, I rolled an 18. But that's only for stuff that requires checks, like do a dexterity check or do an athletics check, stuff like that. So it also could be quite worth it in the end because you gain an extra from what leather is for AC. So it's really the difference between do we want to be at 16 AC or 12 AC? And I think in the end, we are going to go with chainmail. Chainmail, which gives us, and I'll have to put it up here, gives us a -1 speed, making our max speed 4. It also gives us a -1 to checks, which we put right here. And it's to all checks. So we put that here. It's 1. That takes this to a -1. Takes this to a 1. Takes this to a 2. And that takes our stealth to a -1 and our thievery to a -1. However, we gain 7 armor for a total armor class of 17. Now we can go a step further and put on a shield. Now, if we wanted to be really stupid, we could throw in heavy shield and then get a -3 to our checks. However, in the end, is it that stupid? Because if you look at what we lost, we didn't lose much. However, we are going to go for light shield. Actually, I'm thinking that we don't use the shield at all. It's kind of hard because I do have this proficiency with throwing hammers and warhammers. Warhammer is a two-handed weapon, so I could use the warhammer. However, since we're a devoted cleric, I feel that we should be more tanky and stick to a mace and a shield. So yes, we will go with the light shield. Light shield. The light shield doesn't do anything but give us a +1 to our AC. So we have a strong 18 armor class. Honestly, not that bad. Next, we need to scroll down to our weapons. All right. We can use simple melee weapons, so we're going to go with the mace. And the mace is versatile, which is actually really good. So maces are strength versus AC. All melee weapons are strength versus AC, and then range weapons are dex versus AC. So we are going to use the mace. Its damage is 1d8. The versatile version of it would be a 1d10. Not too bad. Strength AC. So now, in the attack workshop, we are going to go mace. Our strength mod, ability mod, is 2. We don't get anything from this. We are proficient with simple melee, so we get a +2 proficiency. Do we have any feats that give us anything else? No, we don't. We don't have any other enchantments or anything. So with our attack rolls, we get a +4 to our roll. And with the damage workspace, we are also going to go mace. We have an ability modifier, strength of 2, no feats or enchantments at all. So we get an added 2 damage with whatever version of the mace we use. So next, the only thing to do here is put in mace. Mace 1d8 +2 proficiency and the 1d10 +2 proficiency. And with that, we have everything for this guy. The only other things to add would be things such as his background. However, I like writing my backgrounds on separate sheets of paper because I turn them into novels instead of short summaries. However, this is everything to create a dwarf cleric. In our next segment, let's see what we'll be dealing with. We will be covering the next class, which will be a paladin, since we already did a fighter. So, thank you guys for watching, If you enjoyed yourselves, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe in future videos, and stay tuned for future updates. My name is Bailey, or Relx. Thanks for watching.